Hey, Zeke, you normally aren't here for this, but I'm letting everybody know tonight I am not editing this show before tomorrow. We're both tired. I haven't had you in like 18 weeks because you've been on a friggin' sabbatical. You've been living your best life. You've been out skiing. You've been dating, whatever it is you're doing. I don't know. What are you doing? What have you been doing on your sabbatical? Or wait, let me get through these ads. We'll talk about that on the other side. But I'm making you sit through the ads because you normally don't do that. And our friends at Orca Coolers now have a new traveler and camper. Get a handle on your chaser with their traveler and take your mug on the go with the Orca camper. State-of-the-art drinkware designed, powder-coated, and shipped out of Nashville, Tennessee. Keep your drinks hot and your cold drinks cold and make all those memories last with Orca. Don't forget to use code DADSEASON. You will save 20% on your order when you use code DADSEASON at orcacoolers.com. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at distilleryproducts.com. You know they are one of the best places to go, if not the best place to go. They are the best place to go for laser edge glassware at wholesale pricing. All the distilleries use them. If you ask distilleries, hey, where do you get your glasses? Chances are they say distilleryproducts.com. And if you are a bourbon group, a store, a podcast, a blog, and you want laser edge glassware with your logo on it, make sure to reach out to me. I would love to get you in touch with Carson, Janie, Vicky, all the good folks over at distilleryproducts.com. It is a family business over there, and they are great people. Last but not least, today's show is sponsored by Action247.com. If you want action, get in on the action with Tennessee's only sportsbook, by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. You know the MLB is going on. You know that there's NBA, NHL, a lot of good stuff going on. Use code DADS100. They will match 50% of your first deposit up to $800. So that means if you deposit $800, they will give you $400 for free if you use code DADS100 at action247.com. All right, we interviewed last night. We interviewed Clay Risen. The interview will be coming out next week. We had 2 hours of audio. We all had a couple of drinks, I would say. It got a little fun at the end. It got a lot of fun at the end. But because we had this guest, you had like a 3-part cold open that you wanted to go into. Are you ready to go into that tonight?
I mean, I have been taking notes a little bit better during my sabbatical, as you say.
And I think you called it a sabbatical last night.
That was yesterday. Today, it could have been just living my best life.
You were on your Rumspringa?
I don't know what that word means.
That's when the Amish people go out and experience the world for a couple weeks and decide if they want to stay Amish or leave. Like it's like right when they're 18.
I mean, if that was the case, I probably wouldn't have come back from skiing.
You're like, all right, I'm done. I'm done in DDB. Yeah. Find somebody else.
I mean, I can Zoom from Colorado, man. I don't need to be in Nashville all the time. I guess the kids say I have to nix that. But it would have crossed my mind at least for a second or two.
No, it would. The kids, you would have been back in 2 seconds.
Yeah. At least until they can learn to ski, and then, who knows from there.
That it's like you're going to spend winters with daddy. Yeah, a lot of other people have like summers with dad. It's like, no. Winters are in Colorado. Summers, you go back out to Nashville.
So at least the best one out of this, and since you're not editing, I'll try to not go too far off the PC scale. I don't think it's bad, but so I get to the Denver airport. It's late. I've got a shuttle. My flight gets delayed. Instead of on the 10 p.m. shuttle, I'm 11 p.m. shuttle. I'm not going to get to the top of the mountain until like 1:30, 2 o'clock, maybe later. Who knows? Either way, the way the airport is, basically outside of baggage claim, there's like a vestibule area, I would call it, because it's Denver. It's cold a lot, right? So you can sit out there. It's enclosed in glass, and I'm just waiting on my shuttle. Well, about 20 minutes before the shuttle, maybe 25, I'm like, oof, that's a That's a tickle in my belly. Oof. I don't need this on a 2-hour, 3-hour shuttle ride. So, all right, grab my bags, head back in toward the baggage lane, making, pretty good butt clench to beeline to the bathroom. Well, I'm coming in the sliding doors. There's this chick, and like people give you the look of like,
there's a woman.
They're going to ask you something.
Yes, there's a woman. She's going to ask you something.
But you know what I mean? That look in their eye, like whatever it is. So I see it, and I'm like, So I just kind of make a hard right, and I keep going. Well, I hear her. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I mean, this bathroom is probably a good 60 yards from the door. Are you really that rude? Excuse me. I'm like, man, just keep your head low, son. Just keep your eyes on the prize. Keep going. Like, we got things we got to do right here. She follows me all the way into the bathroom. And
Wait,
still proceeding to yell at me.
Into the men's bathroom?
Well, yeah, where else was I going to go? I wasn't going in the women's.
Yeah, so anyways, you're having this talk. What happens?
And by the time, like, I'm all the way to the handicap stall, so at least guys can get the relevance there. Like, that's pretty deep in an airport bathroom, right? She's in there yelling at me. Excuse me. If you didn't want to talk, all you had to say was no, thank you. I look at her. I said, ma'am, I got to take a shit.
The anger on your face, even when you're telling that story, is priceless.
My hand's on the door. And she looks at me and goes, well, you could have said that too. And then just turns and walks off.
I wonder what she wanted.
I don't know, man, but the crazy radar was on that night. Whoo.
I mean, to follow you in a bathroom, obviously, if you see a person, doesn't matter, man, woman, child, making a beeline for the bathroom, maybe they don't have time to tell you they're not willing to talk.
I mean, I feel like that's a very inherent common intuition kind of thing. Like, we all know what that clenched up walk looks like. Like, ooh, ooh. Knees rubbing, feet moving real fast. It might as well be the truffle shuffle, but you're getting some pace to not be moving your lower body.
Truffle shuffle is more of a standalone process, or stand still, not even stand alone. It's just stand still. I mean, all you're doing is kind of moving your belly. But on that note, we're over 8 minutes in. Let's start the show.
I told you it was good.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. How was your sabbatical? So we'll ask you about this now. Zeke needed some me time, and he needed some time to go out to Breckenridge and do some skiing. He needed some time to hang out with his friends that weren't me. I was trying to shoestring this show along. I was doing a good job with it. There were some interviews without Zeke, but we know that things are always a little bit better when Zeke is here. So welcome back, Cotter. It is good to have you. This is our first time. I just looked today. This will be 2 weeks since we released a show. And I think that was partly because I went to Colorado as well for a bachelor party. And then I got back and I was tired. I was literally tired. I had a lot going on. Didn't really feel well. Got a little sick. And I apologize to everyone for the delay. We're trying to get back on track. This Friday, we will have a podcast with Redwood Empire for Earth Day. They plant a whole lot of trees and do a whole lot of good stuff to try to give back. So that was an interview Zeke was not with me for, but we will have an interview with Redwood Empire on Friday. We already mentioned the interview with Clay Risen, which will come out next week. He's going to be in town in Nashville for all you Nashville folks. Next Wednesday, he'll be at Cool Springs Wine and Spirits down in Franklin. So lots of good stuff going on. But Zeke, tell me more about what you've been up to since we last spoke.
Well, like you said, I did go skiing for a few days. Then there was, hey, like I said, a couple interviews that just didn't line up with, when I have my kids, which just makes it tougher. So, we got to cater to our guests when we can. So I get it.
And then when you have some dinners, like you had some dinners with Heinz that you had to miss an interview for. Yeah, you went out with Heinz instead of doing an interview with me. It's okay.
I did.
Yeah. You guys, so people don't realize this. Mike Hines and Zeke have a standing date. It's the third Monday of every month. And they have dinner together. I'm not invited. And
it would have been yesterday, actually. And he's at a trade show in Georgia, if you look at your calendar. So you can't blame that one this time.
I know. I see him too. He was in pictures with the Blum brothers today. So lots of good stuff going on for Mike, but you're going to have to reschedule your date.
I know. We'll figure it out. But other than that, I had that stomach bug. I mean, I almost died for about 4 days too.
I forgot about that. Zeke, that is something else. We both got sick, but Zeke had a stomach bug where literally I think I said to him one night, like it was the first night, and you're like, I'm getting sick. And then I knew like not to talk to you. It was one of those ones where I just knew, like, people were like, has anyone talked to Zeke? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to let him sit out for a little bit, and he'll, when he comes up for air, he'll let you know. But this is one of those ones where you just got to let him be.
Man, that thing's brutal. I think it's going around a pretty good area. It's not just like, some local thing here. And like my sister back in Georgia had it. But I mean, for 36 hours, I didn't go downstairs at the house here. I was in my bedroom. That's it. Didn't leave.
Didn't eat? You didn't eat that time, did you, too?
No, I didn't want to change the sheets.
Well, welcome back. Tonight's show is really just a relaxed show. It's getting us back into the groove. And at this point, I think we both hit the wall tonight, so we're trying to keep it fun. And Zeke, you were able to go, our friend Ryan Hopkins, with the whole Kentucky tornadoes and the big thing that the Crusaders and the KDA and everybody put together, he was able to bid on a barrel from Four Roses. And he, for some reason, asked you to go on this pick with him. So he's told me that it was the $278,000 barrel that they purchased through the KDA for the tornado rebuilding efforts from December 2021. Yields were relatively small, so we picked a primary barrel out of the 8 we had to choose from. And then Four Roses was nice enough to give them the sister barrel as well, which was a great gesture by Mandy, Brent, everyone else involved. The barrels are literally the same run as the 16-year Father's Day release from 2 years ago. It is PS-59-4D and 4E, 119 and 121 proof. It is an OESV, 18 years, 5 months. So lots of awesome stuff they're actually doing with that. And it was really cool for Roses to give them the sister barrel once they realized the yield was a little bit low, especially those older ones. I mean, it's an 18-year Four Roses. I'm not expecting there to be 200 bottles in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of backtrack, I guess, a little too from being there. Very simply and most importantly, I would say, Four Roses, Brent, Mandy, the whole crew. Hospitality is a severe understatement. you could write a paragraph about how nice they were, the things they offered, taking care of everyone, accommodating everything. And obviously a ton of money was donated and raised, and that's wonderful. But, on the flip side, it is nice to see that is appreciated, and the level and the degree that they went to make sure that, and yes, there was a pick involved, but it was an experience, and that whole experience was top notch. You couldn't do it any better if you wanted to, I don't think. Minus getting like, hey, how many barrels do you want or something? But literally, just an amazing time. They took us all over, both, the distillery out in Lawrenceburg, and then also did a nice little tour of everything that's at Cox Creek. Got to see tons of neat stuff. I don't think many are ever privy to a ton of people. Would it be that neat or amazing? But, to the ones that nerd or geek out like we do, is pretty damn cool. Something as simple as, who do you know that's ever been in the Four Roses Ricks other than the employees? We're walking through there with Brent, talking about barrels, looking at them, bullshitting. Like, yeah, is it like something that huge or significant? No, but at the same time, like, hey, I've been in one of those damn things now.
It doesn't happen too much, though. It really doesn't. Like, you have to beg to get in the Ricks at Four Roses.
But we started out, like I say, in Lawrenceburg at the new gift shop. I would feel bad if I didn't plug that as well. Super nice. It's big. I think it'll really make the distillery and, the Lawrenceburg side of things pick up and be worth going to now. I know you and I and the Wolfpack guys stopped there, I guess 2 or 3 years ago after a pick. Kind of meandered in and out. Didn't spend a whole lot of time because there wasn't really a whole lot to do. But that new center is top notch, super nice. There's already a bar. I believe there's going to be a restaurant and food kind of stuff going on. Similar to a lot of places right now, they're getting behind the experience wave and make it where, like, hey, you took your time to come out here. We want to at least give you enough to do to be here for an hour or two, even if you don't take the tour. But, you can enjoy yourselves, enjoy our products, this and that. And, not just seemingly drive out of your way for 20 or 30 minutes, especially if you got the family or a wife or somebody with you going, and why the hell did we just drive out here?
Well, and I think a lot of times it was, we're going to drive out here. I'm going to pop my head in. Hey, any gift shop releases? No? Okay, bye. And that's literally what people were doing at the Four Roses gift shop. You might look, they have a lot of good swag there. They really do. But I think it's one of those things where you kind of went in, but like, any Brent releases? No? Okay, bye.
Well, and they do have Mellow Moments merch now too, which you had, obviously have to be a member to be able to buy it, which I thought was kind of neat. Some stuff that not everybody in the world is going to have access to. But so we did that. Then go down to Cox Creek, where the bottling line is and everything. That's where the barrels were. If anyone's done a pick there, obviously, by now I guess, I don't think it has a technical name, but I always just call it Mandy's room. That's where you go to do a pick. So we go in there and the barrels there, they're blinded, obviously. Taste through them all. And, for the most part, it goes and flows like, any pick that I've done there, or most places would go. You taste through it all, get your notes. Everyone, thinks about it, ranks them. All right, let's do our top 3. So we do that. But then the kicker, because they did, like I say, allow that, hey, for all these, 8 or 10 that we've pulled to taste through, I think it was 10. Shit, I can't remember. In the back, we have each of a sister barrel to each one, because it's really hard to gauge a yield on these. They're super old, but a lot of and money went into this. We want to make sure that, we show our appreciation and that the yield overall is enough bottles so that everyone, leaves happy. So we do the 3, vote those. Everybody goes outside. We go over and, tour literally every nook and cranny of the bottling facility there at Cox Creek. And so then when we come back, they've got a blind set up, obviously, of the 3 that we voted, but also sitting next to them is the glass with the sister barrel next to it.
Oh.
Because, what if, because it's, 17 to 20 something year old barrels. Well, what if the one you loved has a sister that could be like a relationship? Sister-in-law. No, man, we ain't hanging around with her for a while.
Oh, man.
But, because again, who knows? I mean, Brent Manley tasted through all of them, but, they said ultimately we're not the ones going home with this. We want everyone to leave here as happy as they possibly can be. You make the decisions. So that cog was a pretty neat little curve to throw in there. Because then, well, are you tasting for the best? Are you tasting for the best average of the 2?
And what did you guys decide to go with? Because that is an interesting thing. I mean, are you looking at it like the pair, or are you looking at it more like we're going to take the best barrel no matter what?
I thought that we were very fortunate to, as I would say, dumb luck into it.
That's normally how it happens, though.
Yeah, again, we all talked, we all voted, but there were folks there that pulled a little more weight than others. It was nice to see everyone agree. But what I thought was super neat was what I feel like when we'd ranked them originally, the E was pulling more weight than the other 2. I think they're both OBSVs. And then the sister that went with it, and granted, it's blind, we didn't know until after the fact. But as we're tasting through it, we're all kind of like, oof, whatever's in this glass. Ooh, man, I'm glad we got this thing rolled out. Like, what if we missed it, So that just pretty much confirmed, like, all right, well, most of us were already on, this island, so to speak, if you're looking at, 3 sets of glasses sitting out there. But then the sister barrel just really came in behind it and like, all right, I'm sure everybody's going to vote the same, but if you're on the fence after having this one, like this combination of these 2, like if they're left here, there's going to be some broken hearts. I mean, literally, you just tell by looking around the room, like, ooh, man, this was not in our first lineup. Like, ooh, it snookered me a little bit on that one. But in general, I thought it was super neat as well, tasting through all these barrels that are, as you love to give me a hard time for saying hyper aged, but they are, especially for this day and age. But I mean, there wasn't an oak bomb, so to speak, in the lot. None of them were just that super like overly tannic, dry, kind of just harsh, leathery. I think the analogy I like to use a lot. It's like, man, it's like somebody took a toothpick and just completely saturated the whole thing in bourbon for God knows how long, and then drug it across my dry tongue. But none of them were of that, flavor profile or really had that aspect to them. So it was pretty remarkable to me just to be able to taste through all of them and think, seriously, this much bourbon that's this old, and none of them I'm just like, I don't know about that little guy there. Now I know why he put it in Yellow Label. Which for anyone listening that doesn't know, Four Roses, I wouldn't say they have a ton of super old stock, but they have allowed that they do have a pretty good bit, and that they've most likely and commonly use it as part of their blend for their Yellow Label product.
Oh, people don't realize how old some of the stuff is in there. Seriously.
I mean, they literally told us, well, all these barrels we went and found and pulled for this, the ones that don't get picked, go in a Yellow Label. It's okay. Or possibly could end up in one of the LEs. They'll use it for that as well. Sorry, I don't want to skip that portion, but because they do set aside the mash bills and the runs that have enough stocks for Brent and his team to toy around with for the various LEs they do each year. But other than that, they literally are dumping 17 to 20-year juice in Yellow Label, which I guess it's not Yellow Label.
It's nude label now. It is the nude color label. But I think it's something that a lot of people don't realize, that this is a common practice with many distilleries. I mean, there was 16-year Wild Turkey in Rare Breed recently, a couple of years ago, and I'm sure it's happened again. This is not something that is uncommon for distilleries to have some older juice. Maybe it is a little oakier than they had hoped for, maybe. But there are some real honey barrels that are older as well, and those are the ones they want to keep for the single barrels, but the other ones they can kind of blend out with these smaller releases, the more budget-friendly releases. So you never know. You could be drinking that and be like, oh, man, that's why, like, age is just a number. Age does not necessarily equal better. Now, there are some great older whiskeys, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're better.
Well, it's something we kind of, kicked around while we were there on the grounds, and everybody just kind of BSing was, you mentioned that this was part of the run from Father's Day a couple years ago. They had the 20-year thing recently they did. Especially if you think about the non-bourbon fanatics that probably own and run the company, the pencil pushers. Why not take a few barrels every month, put them in the gift shop, sell them for $250? I don't know. They'd fly easily.
Well, I mean, look what they did recently when they had all those ones that came out, and we were lucky enough. Eric Smith sent us a sample of that. They had a nice box with those. I think the price tag on them was what, $250, but
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, why not do that? Like, once a month, once every other month. I mean, I get you need it for the balance of Yellow Label theoretically, but what's Yellow Label pulling in versus if you dropped a barrel of this, tied into some event, it gets people out to, to the distillery, to the grounds, probably going to buy some other stuff in the gift shop here and there. It gets a nice buzz for the brand. Like, hey, have you seen this new LE? Hey, have you had this? To me, I don't see a bad angle from it really, other than, people camping out, but they're going to do that regardless.
So D was the one you tasted, but E was the sister, right?
I do not know 100%. I've got notes somewhere, but I admittedly did not grab them for this. But have you tasted these yet? I haven't tonight, but obviously I, was there when we picked them. So I've got a little more familiarity there with these.
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to get a sample of these, and I think I have it. So, yes, D was the original and E was the sister, and you said the sister you liked better than the original, and 100% I'm with you. It is just something about E that you take a sip of it, it has a balance throughout, and it has the right amount of spice. It doesn't have as much oak as D does. And I'm just I don't know. It's funny because I really enjoyed E.
But if you had either one of these blind,
Oh,
would you think they were that old though? Like to me, that was the thing that just I wouldn't say I got hung up on it, but being there, going through all these barrels, knowing they're super old, and just what nature can do to bourbon. It's kind of like, man, like these still have a lot of vibrancy in them, a lot of pop. They're not just completely saturated and dull, or again, just dry tannic bombs of, well, anybody could have made bourbon taste like this. Just leave it in the barrel for too long.
No, I agree with you 100%. They are great. And I just imagine them, potentially making a limited edition better. But I'm happy that Ryan and his group were able to spend $278,000 giving money for the tornado relief so that you could taste and be a part of it. And I could get to taste and live vicariously through you, because these are two damn good barrels. So this is us just taking 30 minutes out to shoot the shit and say, good on you, Ryan, for donating. Good on the KDA Four Roses, the Crusaders, all the people involved with the tornado relief. I feel very humble and grateful that I was able to try this, because I know this is one that a lot of people would love to have themselves. So thank you, Ryan, for getting me an ounce of each one of these. And I just awesome, right? Awesome all around, Zeke.
I think it's the finish on E that kind of resonates. Like it holds on a little more. It hangs.
It lingers.
It just keeps reminding you, like, hey, still like the Energizer Bunny or something. Like, still going, bro. I got life in me.
It is
18 years ain't shit.
Agreed. I think it just kind of, it's a cuddler. It is going to hold you. It's going to make you feel good. Zeke is not shy about the fact that he really likes being the inside spoon, because he likes being able to watch TV because he's selfish. Not with me. I'm talking about with women. He likes when women hold him. He doesn't like when I hold him. But anyways, long story short, this feels to me like an outside spoon pour, because it's holding you in tight and it's making you feel good. If I could put a sticker on this, I'd call it outside spoon.
Fair enough. The names or the stickers that'll be on both of these say, I think Father's Day too, and then Mother's Day, because why not just go hand in hand with each other, so to speak? And plus, both are coming up, so I'm sure those will be some good giftings for people this year. And again, anyone that ends up with a bottle or even a chance to taste it, it's impossible to not be super appreciative, A, of the juice, B, the donation that went into it, the thoughtfulness, and it's crazy, I guess, to think bourbon can really raise and do that much now. I mean, I don't think 5 years ago it would have come close to half. Do you?
No, I mean, I think there is so much going on with bourbon, and the thing that I love about the bourbon community, I mean, it's all the work I do through Bourbon Charity. It's the work I do through Folds of Honor. And I love just that people in the bourbon community are all thinking about giving back. I don't know if it's the fact that it's such a kind of a highfalutin hobby now. It's not like it used to be. The prices are going up for everything, and everybody feels a little guilty and feels like they need to give back. But everybody in bourbon is really, 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 really good about finding ways to give back and finding ways to be charitable. And that's one of the things I love about the community. And it reminds us that, like Freddie Johnson says, this is a spirit that brings people together. It's not necessarily always about the spirit that's in the bottle or the barrel. It's about, those experiences and those relationships you have with the people you're drinking with, and you think about all these charitable opportunities or ways for us to get together even more and do a lot of good. And that's the thing I love about the community, about bourbon. And, you know, I love when Zeke gets charitable. I mean, we just raised $5,000 for people to have a tasting with us. Like, that is crazy to me that people would pay that much to sit with us.
I wouldn't even say crazy. I would have to probably throw a few profanities in there or something. Crazy sounds too light for that. Like, whoa.
Well, thank you again, Ryan. This was awesome. Go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. If y'all have any feedback for us now that Zeke is off his sabbatical, anything you want to see us do, please reach out. You know I am handling all of our social media, so I'm happy to help in any way possible. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee, and I will not be handling social media.
Cheers.
Ciao.